Hello and welcome to White Centipede Noise Podcast. I'm Oscar Brummel, and today my guests are Door of Network Glass and Jason CRUMER, talking about a new album they have out now on Misanthropic Agenda. If you like what I do here at White Centipede Noise Podcast, please support it at patreon.com/White Centipede Noise. This episode of White Centipede Noise Podcast is brought to you by Misanthropic Agenda. Out now, Network Glass and Jason CRUMER, Prerequisite CD. Prerequisite is the first collaboration between Network Glass and Jason CRUMER. Developed from an adaptation of John Cage's Fontana mix, came a long brewing but unlikely marriage of contrasting attitudes and approaches to sound work. Available at misanthropicagenda.com and everywhere where good noise is sold.
This isn't a prop. Sorry, just keep going, man. You're good.
So welcome to White Centipede Noise Podcast, Jason CRUMER and Door. Jason's milling around there with some coffee. So thank you guys for sitting down with me and chatting. I wanted to talk to you guys because you guys just released a new collaboration album together on Misanthropic Agenda called Prerequisite, which I have here. So super interesting, killer album, and just want to talk to you guys about what that's all about. So Jason, I talked to you once before on the podcast, and we talked for quite a while. So I'm going to jump in by asking you, Door, kind of a maybe annoying open-ended question, but can you kind of just introduce yourself and like tell a little bit kind of about what you do before I start going into it? Because I mean, I'm familiar with the work, but maybe you're not as known in like the harsh noise with a capital HN circles as
probably not.
But there's so please just kind of tell me about what you do in Network Glass.
Dude, I don't know. Network Glass is definitely not a noise project, but I don't know, man. Some computer shit. That's all I got to say.
Okay, that's good enough.
It sums it up.
This is gonna be a great one.
That is a really interesting, a very notable, obviously, part of your work is that it's like really like computer based. Maybe not solely computer based, but it's computer oriented music very much.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty heavily computer based. I mean I have a studio full of shit. I just don't really use any of it at this point. Everything I do is pretty based on using a computer, getting source material from, computer space, like virtual spaces and stuff like that. Not really musically oriented at all. That's not really a concern of mine or too much of an interest, which was what was kind of fun about working on this thing with Jason, actually. Because it was like a way different approach for me. I just don't work in those terms at all. So it was kind of fun to like approach it that way for once.
Yeah.
Or try to anyway.
I'm the exact opposite gushy fucking crybaby pussy.
Yeah,
only thing
different approach.
Uses a tuner and
like I don't really on my own work I don't really care about any of that emotion
that's all
narratives or anything like that. Like
I'm
the liner notes for the first release, the self-titled release you did on No Rent, are like composed audio without musical purpose, and it's kind of like an interesting flip because I would say, Jason, your work is, I mean, you're like a classified as a noise artist, but your noise is some of the most, I would say, musical noise out there, and that it's very much seems to be informed, and the decisions you make are like based on kind of like emotional, compositional.
Yeah, it's music. I don't like.
Yeah, exactly. And so
really weird music.
Door, your work is like, you hear kind of more maybe musical elements in it, like more maybe rhythmical things or repeating kind of things or slightly melodic things, but you're operating from a totally different standpoint. Like, so from a layman like who doesn't know about when you say sourcing stuff from computers, like I don't know that much about that whole process. Are you talking about like sourcing audio that you find, or are you talking about like sourcing like just like data?
Well, no, I mean, I'll just use, it depends, actually. It's just, my thing is just using anything I can. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll take like a JPEG or something and convert it into like a wave. Or I'll just go into like Twitch or like VR chat or something, or like a game, and just capture video and audio at the same time, and then use that as audio source, kind of like field recording.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in terms of like things like rhythm or like I try to avoid those things entirely. If they occur, it happens to happen. A lot of stuff I do is sort of randomly put together. Like even for this project with Jason, like I took audio, like I mean, he sent me like how many hours of material? 5 hours. And then some of that stuff I just took and I had it randomly cut into like 500 new files, and then just had them randomly sequenced again, and then worked with it that way. So so like melody, rhythm, all that kind of stuff is that's just, if it occurs, it's just happenstance, honestly. And if it does, I usually try to just get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just find
the likelihood of it occurring is pretty high, since it's a foundational concept. You can't make random stuff without rhythm and melody occurring, because it's unavoidable.
That's not true. That is incorrect. You can completely avoid those things. You can.
The brain finds them. That's the thing, is like the brain finds them.
The brain finds them, but that's the thing, is like, if you're working musically, it's not that the brain finds, it's because you're making the brain find it, really. Like, because it's like, that, what is that, the right side of your brain? That's what's attracted, that's where rhythm, melody, and stuff kind of works. So you can, if you avoid those things, I sound like retarded right now.
No, you don't.
We can edit.
Keep talking, please. Keep talking.
Yeah. But if
you're onto something.
All right. So the thing with this is, if you can't avoid those things, and you don't have to use them. You don't have to go for that side of the brain when you're working with sound. Like, it's obviously there's like advantages to it and everything like that, especially if you're working like, if you're thinking about narratives and emotions and sort of like connecting and like that like idea of like feeling or whatever.
Right.
But you can work around that. Like, there's a way to work around it. You don't need to work with it. Right. It's not necessary for interacting with sound, but you can, and there's like a strength to it for sure. But for me personally, that's the first thing I'm interested in.
We obviously agree on that.
Yeah. I mean, CRUMER and I have different approaches, which is nice.
Yeah, we have different, we're pretty curious about our approaches. Yeah.
Out now on Absurd Exposition, Zenta Sustained, Serpent Track Patterns 12-inch, new 2022 material from the Cult collaborative project between Ryan Bloomer and Sam McKinley. Forthcoming Absurd Exposition CDs from Dodge Jones Rage, Neural, Fold, and Rusalka, with many more releases planned for 2023 and beyond. Plus, over 2,000 items currently in stock at Scream and Ride Distro, a Montreal-based source for experimental electronics, harsh noise, etc., offering affordable shipping worldwide. Visit screamandride.com for ultimate noise power. Tell me then how the final album came about. Like, Jason, this was source you sent to him.
Yeah, I just recorded. I'm doing that right now, actually. Just recorded at the studio, Sam's studio in Richmond, Virginia. JK is the engineer. I just basically drank for 3 days and recorded harsh noise. I set it up to record live. I had been trying to be sober, so it was a relapse, a massively negative impact on my life in the long term. So I went and got hammered, and then just did. I set up with a big mixer, fucking pedals. I was essentially practicing for shows Well, that's what I was telling myself. Like, I was like, I'm not, like, it was like, I'm just going to, like, be in a position to be really loud.
Yeah.
And, like, hear shit. Like, it was played through a PA and, like, amps and shit. And the good mics and yada yada. And then I sent it to Door, and he cut it up in some psycho doorway and then composed from there.
Was it material that you had intended on using, or did you use any that?
I'm still going to use it for this next thing, but because if you hear the original in the Door, there's almost no. I mean, you can tell. I can tell.
Yeah, I think that I feel like I kept pretty true.
You were pretty respectful of the story.
Yeah, I didn't want to go too overboard about it. I didn't want it to sound like my own thing,
Yeah, no, it's definitely not Network Glass. It's definitely not, CRUMER either. Because it was already me just doing harsh noise. So it's like very rarely am I like, I'm just going to work in this genre, like.
Yeah.
So it was that.
The final product is really like neither. Yeah, it really is like a really unique collaboration because it doesn't sound like either of you, but it sounds like both of your work. It's there, but it's like a very new project. What is the meaning of the title Prerequisite? And were there any other, like, beyond just the concept of just the sound exchange? Were there any other, like, concepts or ideas?
Not really. It was hacky. It was hacky at best. It's just a noise CD, man. Like there was. I had a bunch of fucking ideas, but like everybody has a bunch of ideas. There's not really a meaning. Yeah,
we had a lot of conversations though about which ended up though. Yeah, we kind of had a lot of conversations about it, but then would always kind of go back towards like, let's just make like a fucking harsh noise album.
Right, we're like we don't like be super fucking brutal ever. Like, let's be brutal. This will be awesome.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it was.
What
pretty
were
like
some of the other earlier conversations about, or like what were you guys kind of like milling over or considering?
Terrible. Well, I don't know. They were private conversations mostly, but it was like we really just wanted to do a collab. We had talked about it for a really long time.
Yeah.
And we are trying to get people to purchase that collab.
I mean, I don't care if they purchase it or not.
Don't buy it. Yeah,
don't buy it.
How was this collaboration process different from other collaboration processes that you've both had? Because Jason, you've done a handful of very, I think, purposeful. You have like meanings behind the different collaborations and projects.
I'm always on the other end. There is a meaning behind this, but I'm just not really trying to spoon feed it. I think you could just listen to it.
I'm not talking about meaning behind the album, but like kind of in terms of like your discography. It seems like your different collaborations or albums kind of have like different kind of symbolic or purposes in.
They do, but it's just to me. Like, my life feels epic to me, so my body of work is epic. I don't have any fucking delusion that like someone else. You know what I mean? Like,
a delusion about my epic life.
Exactly. I'm just so fucking extreme, man. Like.
But then what of these what boxes, or so to speak, did this collaboration check off for you personally?
Okay, it checked off it's the last thing that has my name on it box. It was loosely based on Cage box. It was a collab with Door, which I've wanted to do box. So all those are done. And now if I come back in 10 years and use my name on something, it can be anything, because this is already like stuffy because there's some cagey shit and it's super brutal. So it's like kind of like a fucking palate cleanser.
It is, for sure. Yeah. So there you gave it away, because you were being cagey with that information.
Horror movie where at the end they're like, "Is he really dead?"
Yeah.
It's like, it's like that. That doesn't have anything to do with Door, and I feel bad even bringing him into it. That was my personal logic.
Well, Jason, let's go to you then real quick, and then because you are in the studio right now, and last time we talked, we kind of talked about your whole discography, and we ended. It was right before Thin Ice had come out. So Thin Ice has now come out. What are your reflections on that album and being finished with that project? And what are you recording now if you're going to be done with your name?
I'm recording something whose name I don't know yet. I'm trying to have it be like a band name and not just my name. But I don't know what that is yet. I'm having a couple titles, but I'm not going to spitball new band titles on the interview. But
no,
I don't know, dude.
Let's hear it. You have
What? Now, I told you. Yeah, but like, yeah. But yeah,
The interview that we cut out, there were some pretty good ones. That
yeah. Well, no, those were all bad. Those were bad. I don't know. I was talking to Rosie this morning. We're like doing wedding stuff, which I'm excited about. And it's fun to talk to her from the hotel, weirdly. But about mutilation. It's like mutilation plus retaliation in one double brutal word.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Pretty fucking cool, huh?
Is the recording that you're doing right now? Is it any different in sonics or?
It's so wimpy. It's just like it's really, really, really beautiful ambient crap.
Okay.
It's notes. It's music, very much ambient music.
And how do you feel about closing off with Thin Ice? How did you feel about Thin Ice being on the road?
It's awesome. It's like the best thing I ever did. Like it's a great way to end. But I felt like it was also like not fully representative. So I don't know. It's great. It's a great way to end. Like it's a super good record. Like it did all the crap that I've been trying to do. It's not very easy to pigeonhole. I don't really know how to talk about it. It's hung over this year in a weird way. So yeah, it's over. Thankfully. No, I'm into it. It's a good one. No, Thin Ice is great. It's the end. I kind of wanted to start a band with Door. I wanted to start a band that's less, not a band, but like a project. Like I'm really fucking sick of being like the keeper of some fucked up narrative. Like I'd rather just generate audio and be like, here.
Yeah.
But
how do you guys?
So I'm
know
doing
each
that
other?
right now.
We met in Baltimore.
There we go.
That's it. CRUMER moved there. Lived with me.
Yeah, that's all.
That's
And
like the
then
whole
nothing
trail.
happened. Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick costume change here. Oh my god!
And Dor, your work, your recent LP, actually, which I was gonna hold on. I'm gonna do something real quick.
Do it.
I'm here. Sorry, guys. I'm just getting ready for other things too.
It's cool. Everyone's gone.
Everyone's gone. Wait, he fucked off too? Here we go.
Fucked up. He's setting
we're
up a prop.
so bad.
Is that visible?
It's so much harder to get up my own ass with someone that I know.
So here's your recent LP on the label. What's the Matinee?
Reserve Matinee.
Reserve
Reserve
Matinee. Yeah. Can you tell me about that record a little bit?
Yeah. So that record was. Hold on a second. I have to do something on my computer. That record was. I got asked to do that record a while ago. I got kind of trapped for a while because of COVID and the record plants. But I pretty much was like, well, if I'm going to do a record, I want to do something that's about the medium of it being a record, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm not crazy interested in making like an album of music or something like that. So I wanted to do this record that kind of functioned more like sort of like an art object, really, like an interactive sound piece that you could use. So I had to, work through I worked with like 3 different cutting engineers to get that record done because of the way the lock grooves are set up. It was kind of like an ordeal actually, because since the locks are like within, it's like usually if you're hearing locks on something, it's like a little bonus thing at the end or whatever, right. But I wanted them to be sort of like integral to the actual work. Yeah. So that's why there's like such a large set of them. So, the record's impossible to listen to straight through. Like, yeah, you can't experience it in a linear way, really. And I hope that people just kind of like do whatever the fuck they want with it, really, because you could just let it play forever if you want, or get stuck in a lock and then go somewhere else, like whatever. But generally, like if I'm doing anything that's like a physical medium, I kind of want to like play with that medium, you know, like same thing like with tapes I've done for Jason where it's like 4 or like what was it, like 3-4 minute tapes or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
4 C4s.
yeah,
With the clown.
with the clown nose. Yeah.
Right.
Or I just did, and then I just finished Master for a Lathe, and that one has like 13 locks. I just finished this CD that's like 99 tracks, and they're all, it comes with like a prompt. You have to like follow a prompt to listen to the CD.
Yeah.
You know, it's the tracks are.
Prerequisite is the least bitchy album.
Huh? What?
It's your most direct album.
What? This one?
This one, yeah.
This one, yeah. This is the most straightforward thing.
Yeah. I meant that, like,
I said I liked it by doing it.
This one, I mean, this one will, I think, satisfy a lot of different. I think it'll satisfy both of your core fans, and it'll also satisfy the people that just want a great.
I wonder. I doubt it. I kind of think it's too everything for every like. There's like too much like wah pedal and just like corny noise boy shit from me for Doors folks. And it's way too fast for my people who are like, I like the amplified sound of the blah, blah, blah. Like,
I mean, I don't even know what people like about what I do.
I have no clue. So.
What do you...
I really don't. I think it's really good. People have been like, I like it. But it's also short. If anything's short, something you can think is good.
Right.
Yeah, short's good, though. It has to be short. Otherwise, it'd be, like, draining. Which is fine, too. I mean, it could be... We could do a follow-up that's, like, 2 hours long,
I think we should do, like, a 10-hour... Yeah.
No, it's short. It's very short and sweet. I have a question for you, Dor, because I'm kind of interested in computer... I'm not super knowledgeable about computer music, but I'm very interested in it. And like, what can you say are some of your driving sonic obsessions or like driving motivations when you are working with sound? Because like a stereotype might be like a harsh noise guy who likes doing his analog pedal noise, really likes the warm, textural, crunchy sound, for example. That's like a kind of. But
yeah.
What sort of things are you like tapping into and like, oh, that's what I love. That's what I'm looking for. That's what gets me off in the sounds that you are working with.
I don't know. I don't actually like think with those terms when I'm doing stuff. I like a lot of times too, even if I like something or I find myself feeling like pulled towards something, I usually just like delete it.
Yeah.
Or like cut it out entirely. I try not to like think that way I mean, again, there's like a place for that, but for me, I just try not to like focus on that at all. I just kind of try to just take sounds, not be concerned with what exactly they are or what they do or how they're interpreted, and just kind of see where I can put them and see how they can like work together versus, oh, I'm really after this sound. And with working with software, it's easier to do that.
Right.
You're not working with like hardware, so you're not in this like linear fashion of like putting things together. It's just more open. And I also like just like, I use Linux, so I'm always kind of like digging around in my computer anyway. Yeah. So that kind of goes hand in hand with like how I work. Like I don't necessarily always use like audio production software or anything like that. Sometimes I just use like basic like command line stuff of like, cut this up X amount of times or whatever, or like mix these things together without me hearing it. And then whatever outputs, that's what I'm going to use. I don't necessarily even like listen to what I'm using. Sometimes I'm just looking at the waveforms and that's really it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, all that's much easier to do on a computer.
Like what in terms of like the staging or like the time based like assemblance? Is there some sort of musical or sequential thought, or are you able to kind of remove human decision from it? Like, do you?
No, I do a lot of things just like
remove human decision or human impulse from the music with the software.
Well. So I like try to just I don't know. I try not to even think about that. I don't know. I don't like, yeah, I don't put things together in that way at all.
Mhm.
Like, I wouldn't even say what I do is like compositional, really. Like, I really just like, I don't think about, oh, this is going to be this long. This is when this part's going to happen. It's just more like, all right, let's just put these things together and see how the work comes out. And whatever the result is sort of the result. You know, I did something recently too, where I took some files, put them together, stretched them out, had them randomly sequenced. And then I was like, all right, that's it. That's done. I didn't even listen to it. And then I sold some CDRs of it.
Cool.
I still haven't listened to it, actually. And I made it 2 CDRs that you had to listen to on 2 different sound systems, and I still haven't listened to it. Maybe I will. I don't know.
Was that the same process and working on Prerequisite? Same kind of
No,
mentality?
Prerequisite was a little different because I had to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not.
Yeah,
It wasn't my work
like,
myself. You know, I'm like working with somebody else, so I'm like, I've got to be respectful of their approach.
those were respectful.
Versus,
Like when I got that, like track 1 or whatever, the actual Prerequisite song, I was like blown away that you didn't destroy it. I mean, it's destroyed, but
Yeah.
like I was like, oh, it's still there, you know.
Yeah,
so
I didn't think it was that destroyed.
I was incredibly respectful of the material.
Yeah, because usually if I do work with somebody else, it's more like I give them like a prompt to do something. Like I had someone like, I was like, okay, like I put together a bunch of text from 4chan and Reddit and like Monster Energy drink reviews, and then shuffled the text on my computer, and I was like, here's the text prompt. Drink a Monster while you read it. And then they like sat in a Walmart parking lot, drank a Monster, and read it for me. And then I was like, okay, that's it. And then I just did whatever with it. I didn't even, you know, then same thing. I just like, you know, cut it up randomly or chose stuff and didn't really let myself get too attached to anything that was going on. It was more about with the sounds that are coming of this person reading this text that they have no connection to.
So Jason, you mentioned this album had something to do with Cage. Is that coming from your side, Jason, or is that more like in terms of Doors?
I mean, we talk about this shit all the time, but I don't really know what I want to advertise. But you know, like, I don't know.
That
like, I'm not trying to be like, yeah, I know about this and that. And, like, I don't know. I feel weird talking about this shit anymore. But yes, it was. There was one of the things was just distorted John Cage that I sent to Door to make even more distorted.
Uh-huh.
That was one of the pieces.
Yeah. Your Fontana mix cover.
It was Fontana mix. It was track 5, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's 4. Yeah. It was my Fontana mix cover, which was like blacked out, completely out of ideas in the studio. Like, you know what? It was like that. So then I was like, let's just run this YouTube video of Fontana mix with a bunch of distortion pedals and send it to Door. So,
Door, your process sounds very, very, very Cage informed, and just in terms of this kind of like scattering of the sticks, and that is a piece. You know, I'm really fascinated by the fact that you choose to remove things that are appealing to you. That's a really, I think, bold and important thing to do sometimes.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in that, you know. And then that's also an easy way to get lost into things like rhythm or melody or whatever, you know, because it's just sort of like what you get attached to. But I've kind of learned to like not get attached to those things anymore. I just like, I did a process where I just kind of stopped actively listening to music for a few years, like fully. And it sort of helped me kind of like re-engage sound. So I like, it wasn't normal. I don't really respond in the same way anymore to music now, which is cool. It's weird sometimes. Like I tried listening to like a Cramps record one time, and all I could hear was like, I was like,
reverb.
No, I could just hear like what a guitar sounded like or something, and I was like, damn, I kind of hate what guitars sound like, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But you like love James Brown. It's like so guitar-y.
What is that?
I guess nobody. You like love James Brown. It's super guitar.
That's true. It's not like I listen to James Brown all the time, or you know what I'm saying, or listen to anything all the time.
Yeah, but it's guitar. But I guess Cramps is more like up your ass guitar.
Yeah. But it's just like I don't know. I don't listen. I don't hear those things. Like I don't know. I hear music in a much different way now. I don't know. It's weird. I have a weird relationship with music. I don't love it.
Yeah.
I like it. You know, it's cool or whatever. But it's not my favorite way of like dealing with sound and art in general, I guess.
Does it have an emotional response to anything musically?
Not as much as it used to. I can disengage a lot more than I used to. Or I guess maybe I just disengage more subconsciously or something now.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, there's a place for that. It's just like, I don't know. It's not the only way to deal with sound. You know, it doesn't have to be about like that connection. There's other ways. And it's just sort of this thing where working that way has kind of changed how I just deal with sound in general. Like, I don't know. I used to feel like I feel like you always kind of search for, which I guess for me is like sort of this like failure of John Cage, is that like this idea of like everything is music sort of kind of reduces how you can interact with sound in general, because you're just sort of always looking for that. Like, I don't know, if you hear like a train or a car go by, like you hear your brain like maps this rhythm, you know, instead of just hearing that sound, like you interpret it differently. And I've just tried to move away from that, and I kind of have in my personal life, I guess.
Mm-hmm. How was the back and forth between you guys working on this record? Because, you know, you work in, this is your style of working, and like we've kind of talked about, is Jason, your work is much more musical. Was there a lot of kind of like, was there any tension or back and forth, or I don't like it like that, or anything, or?
No.
Yeah, there was. I was like, take the gong out. I hate the fucking modern music gong.
Yeah. I thought you wanted that.
I was like, yeah, you're like, whoa, where's this gong? You know, there was back and forth. It was a compromise on both ends. Like we worked together.
Yeah.
It's not a pure document of either of us. It's just, I think it's good. That's all. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are there any inherent characteristics of, or like aesthetic characteristics of computer-based music to you, Dor?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't really like a lot of computer music for that reason, because it's like, it just sounds like computer music. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, you know, you could do some like randomly generated like whatever shit, and I don't know. It's like you know it when you hear it. You know what I mean? Like you can. It's like you hear the same patterns, you hear the same sounds. Like it's like you hear the same software the same way you hear the same gear. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
do you think that's inherent, or do you think that's kind of like genre aestheticized?
I think it's sort of. I think it's a little bit inherent with like the software people use and like the approaches that are used. You know, it's just sort of like, this is how you make it. You know, like this is how you make.
I think it's more the kind of conclusions you reach with the software that you use. Like, you know, I got a fucking Sherman filter bank recently, and was like, oh wow, like all these records that I thought was this amazing process are just this fucking thing out of the box. And it's like, I see how everyone arrived at that conclusion. I think computer stuff is like that too, right? Like there's
because cool, I mean, if you're using software, software is programmed by somebody, you know?
Right. So
like,
so you're just function
like,
I want to make these music.
Yeah. So even if you're like even when you're using like more open-ended stuff like Super Collider or Pure Data or Max or something like that, there's still like systems within that are meant to function a certain way, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's easy to get trapped in that.
It's like it's limitless, and it's like, but it all sounds one way. What is limitless?
I mean, that's why I personally try not to only use one kind of software or something.
Yeah, with Max especially, you hear that about, and then I'm like, it just sounds like.
Well, also because I mean, you know, there's that kind of software. There's like objects that are in it that you use, and you know they have functions. You know, it's like using a modular synth. You know,
right?
In that way. But
Yeah,
with the computer, it's easier to, you can get out of that. You just have to sort of like step out of the comfort zones of like audio software, like stuff designed for you to like make music with or something, you know. That's why like these days I use a lot of software that's not for that really. You know, it's just like,
you don't even use a DAW.
what's that?
You don't even use like a DAW.
I use a DAW, but I use a DAW for a very like kind of vanilla way, really. I mean, that's not completely true. I'm sort of full of shit when I say that, but
yeah.
But no, that's true. Though. That's like,
what sort of software process are you using? I mean, can you like, you kind of told us a little bit, but I mean, can you kind of just describe some more of your like?
I'm gonna make coffee while this happens.
You can't go.
I just use like so much shit. I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, I have a DAW, you know, I use Bitwig, which I use because it's pretty, it's a pretty open-ended DAW. It feels more like the kind of thing that feels good for me because it feels very design oriented over like, I don't know, Ableton or something like Ableton that feels very like direct, like you're going to make like a techno track right now. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which, you know, no shit talk on that or nothing. It's like, fine. It's cool. But then, yeah, I don't know. It's like lately I've been using basically like iTunes, and you know I've been using this media player that's just based on in your terminal. You know, you just kind of tell it to fetch a directory, and then it just goes through it. Or like I'll use like just like encoding stuff like FFmpeg, and just like mash files together and convert them into different things, then work that way.
Like what does making a sound wave out of a JPEG?
It usually just ends up being like this wall of noise.
What does that sound like raw before you start? Like, what is that?
I mean, it'll just end up being basically like a block of like white noise.
Okay.
No matter what, but that's fine to me. I don't really care. It's just for me, for that, it's just more of like a conceptual thing.
Okay.
At that point, but your result is going to be like this. Well, I could say if you ever use, you could do that in like Audacity. Audacity, like underneath Audacity, FFmpeg is in Audacity. And that can convert, that's what you use with that to convert your file from like a wave to whatever. But you can also convert like video to audio if you want to pull the audio out. But you can have it, you know, you can stick whatever you want in, and then it'll output something, which is generally just like a big block of noise.
You did this like when I first met you, you were doing it from Twitter? Is this true? You were like,
oh yeah, I was taking Twitter stuff and turning that into WAV files. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like,
yeah, it's just like it just turns into like this like mess.
Yeah,
but it's nice, you know. It feels it feels pretty disconnected.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility for a live collaboration between the two of you?
Would love to.
Yeah.
How would that look?
Yeah.
I don't
Expensive.
know. Expensive. That big noise money. Those big noise dollars at work.
No, I don't know. I'd probably make noise and you'd process it on a computer.
Yeah, I think it'd be that simple.
Yeah. Me with a table of pedals on the computer.
Me hiding with a laptop somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know, like in a different town.
Yeah, yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah.
So, Jason, you are in the studio right now, and you often work in a studio, which is pretty. I know you're not in the studio right now, but
I'm in a hotel.
You're in a hotel right now, but you are like you've gone out of town to go work in a recording studio, and that's something that most artists don't do, and most artists, no noise artists don't do. They might also think, why would I need to do that? Why would I want to do it? What is that for you?
It gives it meaning to me. Like, now I'll always remember the fucking bus trip. I'll remember the train. I'll remember the hotel. There will be, unlike, like this, well, I guess this is why it's kind of opposite. There is sentimental attachment to the actual experience itself. I'm just making source. I can fucking, I can make the record in my bedroom, and I'm ultimately gonna. But like, I'll just have really good roomy source to fuck with, That's why.
I mean, there's a nice environmental change, though.
It is, yeah. And then I come home and I'm like, oh my god, my terrible dog is amazing. I love you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's nice to come home and the way that she eats my clothes, it just feels so much sweeter.
Are you doing a lot of like line recordings there? Because I mean, or are you
no line recording? It's all I'm laundering audio. Is what I'm doing. I'm like, it's a bunch of computer shit that I'm doing a ton of replay through like a huge PA with amps in the other room. Picked up with microphones, so it has a I don't want to say live because it's like I'm playing shit out of like iTunes into pedals. Like it's nothing like live. It's like shit it's multi-track shit. But I'm trying to make it I'm trying to make cut up stuff that doesn't sound cut up or that sort of sounds like in the room. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this cut up just happens to be happening, not like mm-hmm. kind of like if Thin Ice was like acoustic. It's like that's kind of what I'm going for.
Oh, cool.
Like a just straight up acoustic sound. So that's what I'm going for. There's a lot of shit rattling in the background, like with the speakers moving to kind of give it this roomy sound. That's why I'm here, because I can't do that at home. But I mean, everything else I can do at home. But I can't like shake a room and make a fucking
yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
It's really taxing.
How did you guys get hooked up with Misanthropic Agenda, and was there any like label work or exchange with the label in terms of this album, or was it just kind of like, here's the record?
No, Garrett designed it. He's a really good designer, and he designed it based on a Cage record. But no, it was. We just sent him a thing and then we released it.
Okay.
I worked with Garrett a long time ago on a CRUMER record. He did a really good job. He was hitting me up, and it was just a good time. I'm doing my next thing with him as well. We're happy with Garrett's work. It's a great walk with me, yes. That one.
It's also now in stock at White Centipede Noise for a limited time only, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. I wish the second song was the first song. I think about this.
You say that every time.
I think about this every. I can't think about that record without saying like that first song really doesn't belong on there, man. Yeah, it's also, if you look at the track length, it's impossible to make vinyl. Like it's like exactly wrong. Like it had to be. It's weird. Like Garrett and I actually talked about it. And it's like, side A would be like 30 minutes and side B would be like 4 minutes. I don't know. Anywho, that's how we met.
In designing this album, Dor, did you have any ideas or thoughts about exploiting some of the like characteristics of the CD format in kind of the same way that you have in the past with other formats?
For this?
Yeah.
No, because this wasn't my thing, so I didn't want to really approach it that way. Okay.
I remember back in the day there were also there was hidden tracks, there was like countdowns and shit like that. I don't even know if people can make if you bring something to a CD plant these days, if they even will. Yeah,
you can do it. All that kind of stuff is just like you just have to talk to you actually have to talk to like the person that does that part of it. Yeah. It's the same thing with like a record. Like you just have to like talk to the engineer and like find out. Or like if you know what some of these tricks are, you just basically are like, how do I do them? Or like, what's the best way to do it? And like, you can do those things. I mean, there's things you could do with the CD because there's like these like tiny tracks in between each track. It's like, I think it's like 2 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
There's stuff you can do. It's just like there's not as much you can do from what I've learned.
The hidden track before the album where you hit play and then you have to rewind through it and then it plays. It's a thing.
Yeah, there's some stuff, but there's
Well, you did
limitations
that
with
for
CDs. Like you
people.
can't. I think you have to have. There's like a minimum. Like I was trying to do this thing that was only 1 second tracks, but you can't really do that because when it's made, they'll still add time to it because there has to be. I think it has to be 4 seconds, something like that, or is it 6?
I guess it's timed out. I thought it was 7.
Maybe it's
but
7.
yeah,
I forget. It's some fucking number. You know what I mean? Like it has to be some specific number. You can only go up to like 99. You can't go past that.
Right.
You can't do 100 tracks.
No. I did some research into it. I talked to a couple plants, and it's like
almost CD.
Some people will be like, "Oh yeah, totally," and you'll be like, find out that's not true. You know, they'll be like, "Well, it'll like maybe not work." They'll be like, "Well, the CD might not work, but like we can, yeah, sure."
Yeah.
You know.
Someone also told me recently like the what's the maximum length of a CD? Like 79 minutes and some seconds, and that's like pretty like. One of the first developers of the CD, or like someone from like one of the first labels, like just wanted to make sure this certain Mozart piece fit on a CD, and that was like the length.
I thought it was like Beethoven's Fifth, actually.
What's that?
It was like Beethoven's Fifth.
Yeah. And it was just
that's why it's that way.
That's why it's that way, and that's the only reason, basically.
Yeah. They were like, that it was invented to do the CD of that song. There's no. It's weird. Like it could have been any number.
Yeah,
you know?
it's also because there's also like just a general. What is it? What's the standard called, like red or something like that? I forget.
Yeah.
There's also because I was like, look, when I was doing some research into CDs, where I was like seeing what else you could do. It's kind of also like you're just sort of stuck with that standard because it's how it's just going to be made, you know.
Right.
I mean, maybe I'm being ignorant. I don't fucking know, but
you aren't. I mean, that's just true.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case, right? Like, I think it's just that standard makes it so that's kind of like what you have to do.
It does seem like in this day and age with kind of physical formats becoming kind of almost a novelty to most people, that a lot of those things are just kind of like I was trying to approach GX for a long time about reissuing the Tractor LP that plays backwards from like the outer grooves to the inner grooves. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to do like a 1-to-1 like reissue of it. And I asked all these different plants. I mean, like the budget kind of plants that people use for noise records. And everyone's like, no. We can't.
They have nothing would print backwards? That's not that weird.
What's that?
Maybe it is nothing. No one would print backwards?
No, they just said we can't do that anymore. I don't know. They were just like, no. It seems
like you can't do that anymore?
Well, they were just like,
because they're
like new pressing plants. You know, like these new pressing plants, and they just don't do that. They don't know how, or they don't do it.
For the record?
With the record, yeah.
Backwards,
you just got to talk to. You just talk to the engine. Talk to the cutting engineer.
I did at a couple places.
Oh, weird. Yeah, because if you talk to, because it's just that kind of stuff is just like that's done in the cutting. So as long as they can do it, you just have to find the right person. Like for that record, the Reserve Matinee record, I worked with this guy Tom Hounstein, who's based out of Leipzig, and. He was just like when I talked with another guy, because that was a DMM. When I was talking to a guy that did lacquer cuts, he was just sort of like, yeah, this isn't really doable. But he's like, if you talk to this guy in Germany where you can do like DMM pressing or DMM masters, like that guy can do it.
Was that called Rand Music, the pressing plant, by chance?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, cool. I use them for most of my LPs, and I think I asked them too, and they didn't want to do it, but I don't know.
Yeah, that guy was really open with me when I was like, do you want to do this really annoying thing, basically, you know? And he was just like, yeah,
I'll make a note of his name, and maybe I'll try to hit him up again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can do it. It's just one of those things I think like people just don't do that stuff anymore. You know, like people don't really like fuck around with like, generally just send a master, you know?
Right.
Just like, here's the master, can you cut it, you know? They don't really like go into like the nitty gritty about it, but you can find someone, you know. It might be a hassle though, but it's kind of worth it.
Oh, cute cat.
Indeed.
Jason, I posted on the Discord server if anyone had a question for you guys, and someone did have a question for you, Jason.
Oh God.
It's not bad. But they
Okay.
they
You
asked
better be good.
when you're recording in the studio. I'll read word for word. Where does he make the difference between noise that sounds good and noise that sounds less good after it's recorded, or even poor recordings that can be considered as fierce ripping, shredding, etc.? Like basically, I think like in your recording process in the studio, at what point do you kind of like identify if a sound is useful or not?
I don't until I listen to it like over a few months, like when it's done. Like not done as an album, but like when, like it still has to be mixed because it's like a million mics and shit. So it's gonna take like a. Or do you just mean my current process or just in general?
I think in general, when you're recording in the studio, collecting source, which will then be kind of
or like, just if I'm at if I'm at home, I don't know. I mean, it's like I like it or I don't. I really don't know. Quality wise,
what works, what doesn't work. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Is that
kind of? Yeah.
I don't really have like a metric. I'm really touchy-feely about crap. Like I just kind of make it, and it's like, oh, it's good. But I throw away a lot of noise. You know, I do make a bunch of stuff that doesn't come out. But. Do
you ever force stuff? Like, do you ever find like a sound like, God, this sucks, but I'm just gonna like process it or like EQ it and like
this fucking blows.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. Like sometimes I try to do it. I'm like, God, is this sound ever usable? And I'm like, I hate it, but then I like kind of just try to dig at it for like days. And then, like,
in the studio, it's like that. I'm never. Look, in my real practice of like actually making noise, it's like a few hours every single morning, and I think that like daily kind of coming back to it is why stuff gets good. Mm-hmm. Recording in the actual studio, where I'm like standing in front of someone, like going through speakers, is I don't do marathons, but now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow to like make noise today? In fact, to make noise for like 7 or 8 hours in a row. You know? So like I'll inevitably be doing some wacky bullshit at some point today, but I'm not sure. But it's hard to tell what's going to rule, what's going to suck. Because when you get it back with the sort of room factors and the echo factors and stuff, it's like I don't know, it's like doing podcasts. Like I did the Tabs Out podcast and just felt awful after. And he was like, that's how you know it was a good one. No.
That's kind of
And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the thing. You don't fucking know until you hear it and until you give yourself some time. Unless you just know it's crap. Like if it's not worth pursuing, you just stop. But
what's it like? Because you're working in like real, quote unquote, real studios with like experienced music engineers. How do you have like the same kind of couple people that you work with now? They kind of know what you're up to, or how?
I have one person. It's JK. He runs Sands. It's just a nice creative room with good amps.
Okay.
And he does sound for like a lot of stuff in Richmond, like shows of all genres. So he has the patience of someone who's sat through a million shows.
Okay.
So, which is fucking, I need that. So I can, I just play basically through a PA, and then it's like, hey, let's do this weird thing with the mics, and he'll do it. It's not like I'm just like looking up studio in the phone book, Like
right. So
it's pretty specific.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine feeling like that. I mean, I've kind of been in somewhat similar situations where you want to work on something, you want to bring something to a studio, or have someone help you with something, and then like bring it to them, and like you start feeling this like nervousness and being like, God damn it! It's like the general feeling of when you play music for a friend. You're like, oh, this is my favorite song, and then you like put it on in a room, and the people are just like, fuck, no one likes this. This is really awkward. And like that's like sometimes how it is.
Doing it in front of people fucking is different. It's a whole different vibe. That's why I'm like, in order to not go insane, I am just like, this is just pure source. Let's make something that's low. Let's make something that's high.
Uh-huh.
Let's make something that's mid, something that's loud, quiet. Like I'm not even like, I'm not recording songs or things with parts.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tinker on it until like next fucking May. Like this is like every day for the whole winter. Like, I'm making a library to pull from for the rest of the year and most of next. Actually, but,
what's the deal with that Halloween record you guys made? I just
come on!
Did you do that in the studio?
What's the deal with it? It's just fucking solid gold, man. No, it's obvious crap. It's obviously total garbage. Like it's just a fun, stupid thing me and Rosie did for no good reason. There it is.
Nice packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made this good thing on the announcement about the packaging. You can't complain about the packaging. It's free. And I was like, what's it going to be? It's definitely like... It's good you made that disclaimer, because, I mean, it's definitely just like a...
For the world
CD
to
with a
see.
sandwich bag.
Yeah, CD and a sandwich bag. Yeah. No, there's nothing up with it. It was just a fun thing to do. Sometimes I like to do things that are fun. I don't know. I think the poster's pretty cool. Rosie designed.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. So that's perfect in time for Christmas.
It's a thing worth owning it for. It's just stupid. It's me like cackling like a wolf.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Okay, I gotta listen. I haven't. That's great. So you have like vocal like.
It's literally us making like wolf sounds. It's actual sound effects. It's real bad.
I'm listening to that soon. But if it has your voice, that's a bonus. I mean, if it's just you bowing some weird like scary sound, that's one thing. But if it's like you making wolf sound, that's.
No. There's like 4 wolf variants, so you get the whole spectrum of wolf.
Awesome.
I don't know, dude. It's terrible. It's Halloween code. It's November. Yeah.
Cool, guys. Well, what else can you tell me about the record that people need to know? I mean, it's out right now. Misanthropic Agenda. It's in a lot of distros. I have it in stock.
It's on Nina.
Oh yeah, okay. What's up with Nina? So tell me. I'm not super familiar with Nina Protocol. Like that. Tell me about that concept a little bit.
It's fucking just, they're trying to do this like alternative to Bandcamp, basically, where if you buy something, the artist gets all the money. They don't take any money from you. It's purely digital. You pay for it with Sol or whatever, which I guess is like crashing really hard right now.
That's a cryptocurrency?
Yeah, if you could do it with fucking money, I would do it.
Well, you do it with it's you pay, like there's USDC, like it'll just stay as like the dollar. You don't have to do the crypto part of it if you don't want to. That's just like,
wait, really?
Yeah, you can pretty much. Yeah, it's like there's like you can like they use I think it's like USDC is like the whatever, like the dollar equivalent to the coin or whatever that always just stays stable. So if you sold like, if you made like $200 worth of stuff and it was paid for with like, this currency like Sol or whatever, it's still just $200. And if, that currency like dies, you still have the $200 or whatever. You could just put it in your bank account.
Yeah, because I'm just like not interested in crypto. It's like, but I like the idea a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I like Nina.
I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, Nina's sort of like my main place for me in terms of like releasing stuff at this point. Well, I guess that's not totally true, but because I do obviously release stuff with other people. But if I'm doing something, I like Nina as a platform because it's just sort of this place where you can put your shit. You don't have to deal with, like Bandcamp taking some of the money.
Right.
It just feels a little bit more free. I don't know. I've done some releases on there that have been easier for me to do because like I'll like release something on there and include like.
Why can't you have more than one track? Why can't you have more than one track on your fucking release on Nina?
I don't know.
Like, what is that? Is this for what we imagine a future?
It's sort of like the way that they work. It's sort of in this like, my understanding of the way that I feel about it is it's sort of this more like patronage model, where you're sort of like the person they're basically just giving you money to like do what you do. Is like the idea in a way. You know what I mean?
Do they make any money?
Like, what's up?
Do they make any money anywhere?
Yeah, they make money.
Yeah,
I mean, I assume so.
How?
I don't know. I don't work for them, so I don't really know. But I mean, they definitely make some money somehow. I don't know, but yeah, like I've been able to do things on there that have been more like I can release something on there, and then also as part of the release, like just dump like the code for like a pure data patch and be like, the audio of this piece is the source, and then the piece is you using the patch, which is on the post, and you can just dump that patch onto your computer, and then
you can
do it that way, you know. Which you can't necessarily, like, I don't know, it just feels like a platform that's more inviting for things like that to kind of like play around a little bit.
Yeah.
The digital medium
definitely.
is like, I love digital, like the digital medium, like quite a bit, but it's sort of like the way that people interact with it is weird. Like, I don't know. I don't like it's weird to me to just like, I don't know, just buy something to be like a playlist on your phone, you know? It's like that relationship that you can have with like with physical mediums is nice, you know. Like there's like an interaction, and you kind of lose that with like digital mediums, especially like the way that the standards of releasing them are. Like every Bandcamp page, it all looks the same, you know. Like every release will look the same no matter what, because it's just like here's the little square image, and here's the list of the tracks and the descriptor. You know, and it's like, it feels so boring.
It's trying to be around that.
Like,
but then it's at the same time, it's still just an image, and then you can't upload
like there's all this play that you can have with like digital work that just doesn't happen. No one plays with it. Yeah. I feel like Nina gives you a little bit more option to kind of play with that, you know, to me anyway.
That's fair, actually. Yeah. No, I'm like, I support them. I want to like do, but I don't know what the benefit is for me.
Well, the benefit, I guess, financially is that you just get the fucking money.
No, I don't mean, I'm not even talking about money. No. I would let, if some crypto fucking bro wants to put my shit up on there, go, like, and you can take all the money. I want my stuff on there because I want my stuff on there.
Yeah, I think it's just people have a difficulty on how to, like, interact with digital releases still. You know, there's just like, you're so used to, like, you're tied to your phone, you know, you're used to how you interact with your phone. You're sort of dictated with how to interact with your technology by the designers of those technologies, you know? So, and people are so settled into that, it's like sort of hard to kind of play with, I think.
Well, so, I mean, I think you have to understand, like, the world passed me by like 15 years ago. It's actually, like, it's these new updates. Like, I use fucking Bandcamp on it.
I mean, the learning curve to get into something like that, if you're not familiar with that world, is steep and intimidating. But at the same time, I do feel like it's sort of like you said, it's a weird shame that still in this day and age, like digital music is still means like an MP3 and a JPEG and on a 2-dimensional screen. You know, like
it's weird. Well, it's like things. I think. I mean, as much as like everyone's ingrained with like tech, you know, not necessarily are most people interested in it at all. So it's sort of, that's like the difficulty, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you engage with like tech all the time, but you don't care about what's under the hood, you know. You're not thinking about those interactions or whatever. You're just thinking of like nothing because it's just designed for you to interact with a certain way. You accept that interaction, and that's sort of it.
Right.
And something like Nina, I think, because it's, you know, it's, what is it, like Web3 or whatever the fuck, you know, it's like asking for more interaction, but people aren't necessarily like prepared for that or know how to engage it because they're so used to engaging with technology in a specific way that this thing that's sort of asking you to do a little bit more and think a little bit more about it is, it's like intimidating, it's confusing, and it's like, honestly, it's just like, it's still like so new that it's confused. It's like generally, like the moment you say that there's something that's like crypto involved, the immediate reaction is like, "Oh, fucking bullshit," you know, which is like,
Dude, I don't know how to use Spotify. This is the thing. Like, I don't know how to use Spotify. I don't have any digital. Like, I don't interact with digital music outside of like YouTube. So I'm like, it's so far past my ability to like, even, like, it's like, so it's like laughable. Like, I want my shit on there so I don't feel like an old dinosaur, even though I am one. You know? It's like a weird.
It's weird. It's like, it's still like a hurdle, I think. It's still like, I don't even think it's about feeling like a dinosaur. It's just like, I think it's just like a hurdle that's still there. People just aren't quite sure how they interact with like tech.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. Like, but I don't know. Nothing makes fucking sense.
I mean, most people don't even really use a computer outside of the computer in their hand, you know? It's like,
Right.
I guess I do. I'm on one now. But yeah, I guess I do. My phone is like an Obama piece of shit. So.
Oh, nice. I had one of those.
Yeah. It's called a Hot Pepper. It's the brand. That's what I'm rocking.
Nice.
A Hot Pepper.
Is Nina Protocol having like success? Is it catching on? Are people engaging?
I think so. Yeah, they're doing pretty good as far as I can tell. They've been doing a lot of like events and shit like that in New York. There's always more people signing on to it. Like, it was weird. I was there. I was at their place, like the headquarters or whatever, their like office. It was really interesting to be there, sitting there while they're like having these like talking with artists about them like signing up onto Nina, and it was like so weird to me because I was like, people like don't think twice about like putting their shit on Spotify or Bandcamp or whatever, but like you're having like an onboarding meeting with like some techno dude to see that they're like cool with this and they're down. It's that thing too where I'm saying with like people just like they're not sure how to interact with tech. Yeah. So it's like, oh, this is different or something. It's like, well, at the end of the day, it's really not that different, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a picture of the cover and a thing where you press play. I don't understand.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think they're trying to expand beyond that. This is just sort of like, they're still pretty fucking early, you know what I mean, in the project.
Less than a year, right? It's coming up on a year.
Yeah, there's other things that they want to start getting. I know that there was talk about how to like incorporate like video stuff and like me dumping the first time I dumped some code for a Pure Data patch, like I was talking to Mike and he's like, well, let's see what happens. You know, he's like, I don't know if this will like fuck anything up. Like, oh, cool, it worked. You know,
cool.
Yeah. And he was actually just talking to me recently about a way to like incorporate like PD into Nina so that you could like have an interactive patch like on there. You know, so they got some shit they're trying to figure out because they want to expand beyond like, yeah, it just being Bandcamp with like a different currency, you know?
Yeah, I would use it over Bandcamp just if I could just PayPal. Like, I also like the idea of not being able to be deplatformed on there as someone who probably need that. Like, in life. Like, but I do like, because people's pages are constantly getting pulled off Bandcamp. That's the thing that probably Noise Bros should be aware of about Nina. It's like, it's not being deplatformed is a big part of it. Like,
for sure.
Deplatformable. I mean, you know,
I need to check it out more because it sounds like the future in some way. I think for me it still has to break out of that stuff still has to somehow eventually be more like appealing or like usable to someone who doesn't have that under the hood.
Yeah, I mean they're working on all that from my understanding from conversations and stuff like that with like Jack and like Mike, and they that's something that they're working on. I think they're also working on another way of like payment that's a little bit easier for people. That's like less intimidating because, you know, like people think like, oh shit, I got to use like this weird currency. What the fuck, you know? Yeah. Even though it's like actually like pretty cut and dry.
I have to establish a wallet, and I'm like, I have a wallet. I don't want to remember their fucking password. Like to give money. It's not like fun.
You know, you just put your email in, you got a code, you make your wallet, done.
Yeah.
But there's just this other, like, I don't know, there's this sort of, like, I don't know, like, scary mystique about that shit for people still, where they're like, it's just all a scam or some shit like that. And it's just like another fucking dollar.
I understand the concept. I just don't have a bank account.
No, I know that. I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying in general, there's, like, this idea that there's, like, something else about it. But I don't know. It's just another fucking dollar, you know?
Well, I guess
PayPal felt scammy in, like, the 90s this year.
I'm gonna try to put up links then in like the description of this video, like a kind of like a starter pack for this kind of shit for myself and maybe for other people. Maybe you can send me some stuff, Door, like a link
for sure.
and you know, just I think this is interesting territory that I know very little about, and I think it would be good to maybe.
Oh yeah, the other thing with Nina too that is like you don't have to pay for anything to listen to whatever. It's not like Bandcamp where it's like now you got to buy it. You know, as far as like for the person who's engaging, like you can just listen to it for free forever. I mean, it's basically all for free. Everything's free. You don't have to pay anything. You pay if you want to. And I mean, as like an artist that's on it, I've made money.
So that's how they pay for hosting.
Cool.
What's up?
They have to pay for hosting.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if this is like, if you do like if you release something, there's like a tiny like transaction fee, but it's literally like pennies. You know, that's it.
Right.
It's like nothing.
And in the resale, you can. I've never sold or bought anything on there, but apparently you can set a percentage that you get.
Yeah,
every
so if
time
you
someone-
sell something, like, I mean, yeah, it's like an NFT in that way, you know, whatever. It's like if you sell something to somebody, you know, you can, if they sell it as like, because somebody wants
You get
that thing, because like, you know, whatever, collectible, whatever. Same shit as fucking buying tapes and records or whatever. Just the digital equivalent to like a physical thing. If someone sells it, you get a percentage.
Kind of going for discounts in a way, like more than they're going for Bandcamp, actually, in a cool way.
So you can like dictate your percentage you get back, and I think some people have already played with that too, where like if you like buying it, it will never accrue value for you. You know, like that was like the point of it. It'll be like if you sell it, you just lose all your money and it goes to the artist instead, kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
which is kind of fun. You know,
Yeah.
it's cool.
I'm conceptually very behind that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I love how it's like we talk about the record for 30 seconds and we're like, it's on Nina. And it's just, it's
Oh,
more
right.
interesting than the whole album. So,
yeah. So before we say our goodbyes, tell me more of the record, what people need to know about it, and what's coming up in the future for you guys.
we're going to make more, but we haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah, we
But
want to do a
definitely not
follow up for sure, because it was like, I don't know, I loved working on it. It was like, it was nice to just like have like this like huge chunk of material from somebody and just be like, how the fuck should I use this in a way that's like not how I'm going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the results are great. In my, you know, to me,
I expected it to be way more fucked with. So, and it was like totally fucked with, but I expected like it to be characteristically changed, but nothing was. It was just, like,
no, I tried to
rearranged.
like kind of keep to it and just sort of, I don't know, let it sound like
I don't know
what it was.
Something. We're going to do something.
We're going to do
you know, at the end
something
of the
for
year.
sure.
Yeah. Something maybe really wimpy. I don't know.
Wimpy, yeah, fuck it. Annoying, why not?
Yeah.
Shitty?
I have this like. You want to do something that sucks? Fuck
Something
yeah.
that sucks. I'm the guy. I'm the guy.
You're the guy. I'm the man to see it. You want? Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's it's on Misanthropic Agenda. It's available at every distro. It's on Spotify. It's on
It was 5 hours. Now it's like 20 minutes.
22 minutes. Yeah. It was literally 5 hours.
Yeah. The source recordings are cool too. They're good.
I'm sure.
They're
They're
like
good,
They mostly stand on their own for sure. That's what was fun
They
about it too.
could-
You know.
I wanted, it's weird because I can't like now be like, here's a live noise. I just wanted to prove to myself I could do it, and then it's like nobody really needs to hear this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you can really expanded
Like,
like
to prove to myself I need to
CD
do it, I need to go on
box set
tour.
version.
I was thinking about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be
I
cool.
don't know. I want it like short.
I do like short for harsher stuff. Generally.
I just did a
Jason,
7
you
LP
approached me at one
fucking
point.
box set. I want short now. Like I'm like, okay, now if I could just say all that in one LP.
Jason, you approached me at
That'd be
one point.
cooler.
You were like, "I'm going into the studio and I'm going to work on like live played harsh noise that'll be like really good, like
That's what Door edited. That's what
live
it
to
was.
take
Yeah.
shit." And then like we were maybe going to like do like a release on White Centipede Noise, and then you're like, something else came of it. So this is probably that, right?
This is literally that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, that's what it is. Yeah.
Excellent. Well,
I don't know. I just do a lot of stuff. I'm a fucking music guy. I make music. Anyway.
I love it. I love the blending of like computer music with harsh noise, and I love the blending of both worlds, and it's came out really well. So, highly recommended by me.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you guys for taking a little bit to talk with me about it, and take care, and we'll keep in touch.
Sure.
See you
All
guys.
right. Oh yeah. See ya.
That was Door from Network Glass and Jason CRUMER talking about their new CD on Misanthropic Agenda. So make sure you go pick that up from the label or any of the fine distros carrying it. If you're listening to or watching this podcast, head over to patreon.com/White Centipede Noise now and support it. Starting at just €3 a month, you can show your support for what I do here and get lots of benefits in return, whether it's bonus WCN TV episodes, the Maniac Circle Discord server, discounts at the mail order, exclusive giveaways, and more. There's a lot of work that goes into producing this show on a weekly basis, and without your support, it's not possible. So head over to patreon.com/White Centipede Noise now to support White Centipede Noise Podcast. Thanks for listening and keep the noise flowing.